The Pittsburgh Steelers have won the 2023 NFL Draft. So, heading into the offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers had many needs on their roster, but because they filled a lot of those holes in free agency and was able to sign a lot of great players to fill those needs, the Steelers heading into the draft didn't really have a lot of holes to fill. Yes, they had some, especially their first round pick when they traded up for a left tackle, but besides that, they were able to get the best player available basically at every pick and have the best player slide to them in every round with high value selections everywhere. So let's get it started. With our first pick, the Steelers traded pick number 17 to the New England Patriots, along with a 4th round pick in this year's draft for pick number 14 to select hopefully a franchise left tackle in Broderick Jones. So the Steelers jumped ahead of the New York Jets, who were 100% going to select Broderick Jones if the Steelers didn't jump in front of them. So they're able to get their franchise left tackle, and in this year's draft, there's really only 2 left tackles that were highly ranked. Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones. And since Paris Johnson was gone, the Steelers needed a left tackle because Dan Moore Jr. has been a highly penalized guy and a lot of false starts and a lot of penalties and a lot of sacks allowed. So he hasn't been the guy for the Steelers his first 2 years of his career. So the Steelers needed a change to help Kenny Pickett in the pass game and block for him and not have high penalties. And Broderick Jones is a guy who doesn't get penalized a lot and doesn't allow sacks. So getting a franchise left tackle and only giving up a 4th round pick to do so is great because they also traded back later in the draft to recoup that 4th round pick. So it was a great value pick for the Steelers at pick number 14, trading up with the New England Patriots. Who would have thought trading with a rival would be a good idea, but the Steelers made it a good one. So, heading into the Steelers' second pick, some thought that the Steelers were going to trade back, and apparently they were having so many phone calls come in for that pick number 32 spot. But because the best player available fell to them all the way to 32, the Steelers decided to stand still and not trade it and pick Joey Porter Jr. Many thought that he would be gone before Steelers' first pick number 17. Many thought he would be gone. Many of the draft experts didn't expect him there. But because he was there, the Steelers were able to select the best player available and a guy they met with and liked a lot throughout the whole draft process. We all know Joey Porter Sr., his dad was on the Steelers for a long time, and now selecting a guy who has family ties, and we all know the Steelers like that, but also drafting a cornerback who could be a number 1 cornerback for many years for the team is a great idea, and the Steelers did that with a high value pick at number 32. So that was amazing first 2 selections. And now going over to Steelers' second pick in the second round, pick number 49, drafting a defensive tackle, nose tackle, Keanu Benton, a position the Steelers really needed, but also a guy who's really good and athletic and really a run stuffer is exactly what the Steelers needed. Once again, best player available. That's the theme of the draft so far, and that's what the Steelers got with Keanu Benton. Many thought he would be gone early second, but he fell to the Steelers' second pick in the second round, in pick number 49. And like I said, best player available, and that's what Keanu Benton provides. Run stuffing ability. Cameron Hayward wanted a run stuffing guy to help Larry Ogunjobi and himself, and they got them in Keanu Benton. So the Steelers didn't trade back that pick, but our next pick, in the 3rd round, pick number 80, the Steelers traded that one. And like I said, when the Steelers traded up in the 1st round, they gave up a 4th round pick. But when the Steelers traded back in the 3rd round, they regathered that 4th round pick with the Carolina Panthers, moving back to pick number 93. And at that pick number 93 spot, the Steelers were still able to get the best player available. A guy who's supposed to go top of the 2nd or even very late 1st, but because of knee issues and injury concerns, he dropped all the way down to the Steelers' 3rd round pick. Pick number 93, the Steelers were able to get a monster of a tight end, an athletic freak in Darnell Washington, a guy who stands at 6'7" and weighs 246 pounds. He's able to be a run blocker, but he's also so dominant in the catching game, meaning that the Steelers are still able to get the best player available and they weren't concerned with his injuries, meaning that the Steelers regathered that 4th round pick and was still able to get the best player available. That's an A+ draft so far, meaning that heading into the 4th round, because the Steelers regathered a pick, if they didn't regather that pick, they would have had to wait all the way back into the 7th round, from the 3rd round to 7th round, without a selection. But since they got a 4th round pick, their next selection was outside linebacker edge Nick Herbig. And that's a big pick for the Steelers because the Steelers really needed depth at the edge position behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. And not just that, I was saying that Pittsburgh Steelers didn't need a pick based off needs, and they didn't. He was the best player available at the time. He was a guy who's projected to go in the 3rd round, but he fell to the Steelers at the 4th round because of his size concerns, because he's a smaller edge player. Many think he might play inside linebacker at the next level, but because he had so much production on the edge at outside linebacker, he could be a big pickup for the Steelers. And he went to Wisconsin, and we all know TJ Watt went to Wisconsin as well. And apparently, Nick Herbig, in his interview, when talking to reporters and the media, he said a lot of the Steelers players that are already on the team that went to Wisconsin before, like TJ Watt, has already taken him under his wing and helped him. And there's even a video of him at the pro day, TJ Watt at the pro day that is, with Nick Herbig last year, working out and kind of teaching him some stuff and teaching him some moves on the sideline while the other guys are going through their pro day workouts. So that's a great pickup and the best player available, a high value pick slid to them in the 4th round. And now, even heading to the 7th round, you wouldn't think a best player available, someone who might even be projected to go in the 4th round, would slide all the way down to the Steelers in the 7th round. Well, that's exactly what happened with defensive back, cornerback, Cory Trice Jr. He's a big guy, and he's a very lengthy cornerback who plays press man, highly skilled corner. And even the Steelers secondary coach, in his interview talking about the pick, he says he doesn't know how he fell this far in the draft. And me either. He's a guy who's projected to go around the 4th, but because of injury concerns, which isn't there because he said he's not injured at all, so he doesn't know why he fell. Because of injury concerns, he fell. But obviously the Steelers don't care about those injury concerns, just like they didn't care about Darnell Washington's injury concerns. They picked the guy, best player available, and exactly what they got in the 7th round again. Well, the Steelers had another pick in the 7th round, and they picked the offensive line. This one is the only iffy pick I'm not really too sure about, because he wasn't really the best player available, and no one really slid to them. Maybe if Andrew Voorhees fell, that would be a great selection, but he didn't fall. The Ravens traded up for him in the 7th round. But picking the offensive line and Spencer Anderson, that's the only iffy pick. But he's a guy who's versatile. And I guess the Steelers want that. They want a guy who could play any position on the offensive line. And he played a lot of guard. He played a lot of tackle at Maryland. So it makes sense why the Steelers would want someone who's versatile on the offensive line. He's not going to be a starter anytime soon. Or if any, he will only be like a swing guy if the Steelers need someone, or if someone gets injured, he could probably fill in for either position, offensive tackle or guard. So the Steelers, at every position, round 1 through round 7, they had the best player available basically fall to them at every selection. They made a great trade up in the 1st round, and 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, and even the 1st pick in the 7th round, the best player available slid to them. And it was a high pick. They basically got 4th round talent at a 7th round pick. They got a 3rd round talent at their 4th round pick. And they got a 1st or 2nd late round talent with their 3rd overall pick. So the Steelers have had such a successful draft. And you would think a team that did not pick in the top 5 of this year's draft wouldn't have the best draft. But that's exactly what the Steelers have in this year's draft. So, with that being said, let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel about this year's draft, 2023? Do you believe it was an excellent draft? And do you believe, like I believe, that it was one of our best draft classes in recent memory before play? I'm not talking about play on the field right now, because obviously it all depends on how they play on the field. But right now, based off looking at it and seeing who we selected, do you believe this is one of our best class in a long time, just looking at it? Do you like the selections at round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 7, or do you believe we should have gone somewhere else? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, while we're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content, analysis, and reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next Steelers video. This draft is over, but it doesn't mean the analysis is gone from me or the coverage is gone from me. I covered the whole draft, every pick, And now there's undrafted free agents from the draft that the Steelers are going to sign and have already signed. And I'm going to make a recap video on everyone the Steelers pick up. And not just that, head into training camp covering it all. Just know I'm on it. Every news, every rumor that breaks, the Pittsburgh Steelers report is going to cover it. So, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.